In this video, I'm going to discuss how hiring your children can save you thousands of dollars in taxes. That's right, you can actually hire your children and get a business tax deduction for the amount you pay them. So I'm going to discuss, how does this strategy work? What can your children do to help in the business to earn this money? How your children's age impacts the strategy, as well as provide you some guidelines to keep you sort of out of trouble if you're going to implement this. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Navi Miraj. I'm a CPA who specializes in helping real estate professionals. So that's you, the real estate agent, realtor, or broker even. But this strategy applies to all small business owners. Even if you don't have an active business and you have a passive activity such as owning rental real estate, this information can help you as well. So if you've subscribed to the channel, then you know that this video is part of a series that I'm doing that's sort of under the maximizing deductions subsection, if you will, of tax planning. If you haven't seen that tax planning video, head over to the YouTube channel, or if you're watching this on a different platform, head over to YouTube. My YouTube channel is Navi Miraj CPA, and you can watch all those other videos there. So how does this strategy work? The strategy works by basically shifting income that would be taxed at your marginal tax rate and moving it to your child's tax rate, which is often 0%, right? In 2020, the standard deduction is $12,400. So if your child's earning an amount less than $12,400, then you can pay them up to that amount and it will be taxed at 0%. There's no federal income tax on that money. So to use easy math, let me give you an example. Let's say your marginal tax rate is 25% and you want to pay your child $10,000. Well, that means you'll save $2,500 in federal income tax. And if you're in a state with state income tax, you'll save money there too as well. If you don't know what a marginal tax rate is, and that's kind of sort of confusing you from the get-go, then as I said, on my YouTube channel, I've got a bunch of videos there. One of them discusses marginal tax rates and adjusted gross income and things like that. So check it out on YouTube, or you can visit my website. It's navimirajcpa.com, and all of my videos are there. So what can your children do to help you in the business? Now, as I said, my clients are all real estate professionals, and so you got to apply this to your business. But they, as I said earlier, if you are a passive income business owner, if you will, meaning you have rental real estate and you don't have an active business, then they can help you by cleaning that rental property or rehabbing that rental property, right? That's a way you can get them involved. Again, my real estate clients, my real estate agent clients go to an open house. They can go to an open house with you and greet clients and prospects. We all know that sometimes there's other kids that come to the open house with you, and this is a good way to sort of distract them while you can kind of talk business. They can stuff envelopes or help with mailers. They can take phone calls. They can manage your social media. A lot of these kids know how to manage social media better than you do, let's face it. They can clean your home office, right? They can install signage. They can do a ton of different things. If you haven't, you don't know about the home office strategy, make sure you're implementing that, and there's another video on my YouTube channel about that. Your child's age impacts this strategy, right? So let's touch on a couple of things just briefly. All I want you to know is that kids that are, less than 17 years old, so let's actually phrase it this way. Kids that are 7 to 17 years old, because 7 is probably the age you want to start this. Between 7 and 17, they're not going to pay any self-employment tax when they get the income. And again, assuming they're not making any other income, they're below the standard deduction, so there's no federal income tax either. Now, if your child is 18 years old or older, then when you pay them, they're going to be an independent contractor, okay? So they will pay self-employment tax of 15.3% on the money that you pay them, but there's still tax savings, because if your marginal tax rate is higher than the 15.3%, then the difference between those two is what your tax savings will be. Now, kids that are 18 years and older, again, they're going to pay self-employment tax, but if they don't have any other source of income, they won't pay federal income tax on that money, right? The distinction there is self-employment tax versus federal income tax. Kids that are 18 years and older, and they're going to be treated as an independent contractor and therefore have self-employment tax that they have to pay, keep in mind that they now have a legit business, right? And so they can take tax deductions against the money that you're paying them. So perhaps if they're driving around, they can have a mileage deduction. Maybe they're going to buy a computer or a phone or some other equipment. That can be a tax deduction that will offset the amount of money that you're going to pay them. And so they're not going to pay the tax on the 15.3, sorry, they'll pay 15.3%, but not on the amount you pay them, but rather the amount you pay them minus their tax deductions, whatever the net number is, right? So basically just similar to how you have write-offs in your business, they'll have write-offs on their business. So one thing to keep in mind is a lot of the strategies I talk about are pretty simple and you could probably figure them out on your own. This one is not one of those, okay? So don't execute this strategy on your own. Please, I'm sort of begging you not to do that. You can get yourself in trouble. So there's differences that are involved. So behind me, I just want to mention, like, you know, based on your child's age, there's a difference. Based on their entity type, so if you're taxed as a sole proprietor versus an S or a C corp, then there's a difference. The treatment. For those that are 18 and older and you're sort of really controlling everything that they do and they're helping you out a lot and you're paying them probably more than 10 grand a year, then maybe they're actually an employee and you shouldn't be paying them as an independent contractor, okay? If some of these things confuse you, specifically the entity and how it's taxed, then sorry to keep plugging the channel, but on the YouTube channel, you'll find a video that explains sole proprietorship versus S Corp versus C Corp, and I think that'll be helpful to you and so you can understand the difference. Another thing is you need to make sure you're setting this up properly, right? It's not as easy as just saying, you know, here child, here's $12,000 for the year, it's a one-time thing, it's a check, you're done. Here's some guidelines I'm sort of gonna give you to follow, right? This sounds foolish that I even have to say this, but don't be negligent or fraudulent when trying to implement this strategy. Your children should actually be involved in the business and they should be doing work in the business and have job duties that they're assigned. You gotta decide on a pay scale that makes sense based on the work they're doing and their age, right? You're not gonna pay a 7-year-old $12,000 a year to clean your home office. That's a bit excessive. You gotta be reasonable. Children are going to need to have their own bank account to facilitate the money transfer, right? And you're going to want to pay these kids regularly. Probably monthly is what's recommended. I wouldn't go quarterly or annually when you implement this strategy. And you want to report the income and the deduction on the appropriate tax forms when they're required. I don't want you to think that it's a bunch of things that you have to do to implement the strategy correctly, but given the age of the child and how you're taxed, there are some things that need to be done. So, you know, hopefully after watching this video and maybe you took some notes, you now understand that you could save thousands of dollars by hiring your children, right? You know, like all of my videos, I just want to make sure you are aware that this strategy exists, and I don't really want you trying to implement this one on your own. You should consult with myself or another tax professional. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if probably greater than 50% of tax preparers aren't familiar with this strategy or don't want to take the time to teach you about it, or they don't know how to implement it properly, right? So use caution when you're going to implement this strategy. If you got value out of this video, then please do subscribe, because in the next videos, I plan to discuss additional strategies to save you money in taxes. And if you want to leave a comment below and you're like, you know, hey, I thought about this or this, I've got questions, it helps me create additional videos that and make content, you know, for you, the user of the information, rather than me just making some assumptions about what you want to learn about. So with that said, I appreciate all the comments, appreciate all the feedback. Like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video.